Attendance tonight was 15,193, sold out arena here in Jeunesse. In terms of bonuses, the fight of the night goes to Rose versus Andrade, and the performance bonuses go to Andrade and Worley Alves. Any questions from the group?
Yeah. Hi, Dave. First question, I would like to have an update on Anderson Silva's knee injury. How is he doing? Did he go to the hospital? I heard he decided to go straight back home instead of going to the hospital. How is he doing?
Yeah, it sounds like he's in considerable pain. He did not get transported to the hospital, which is obviously a good sign. I'm not sure of his whereabouts currently, but I do know that he's not going to be transported to the hospital. So, it sounds like, there's no kind of massive damage. It's just tough to tell how bad the extent the damage is.
And how is Rose doing? She looked fine in the cage after the fight, but it was a really scary finish. Is she all right as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's always scary when someone gets knocked out. I think it's one of those situations where she popped up pretty quickly. She seemed to be very lucid, very articulate with the doctors and with her camp. I haven't seen her post octagon, but I'm sure she's devastated.
I know it's too soon, but what are the plans going forward for Jessica? Michelle Watterson was here in Rio. People assumed that she was next in line, but given how the fight ended, what are the plans right now for Jessica?
The truth is, I don't know. But what I do know is that, the fight was a good one. Rose seemed to be controlling the fight through the first few rounds, was landing all her punches at will. The division's pretty crowded. I know Michelle was here. I know she's on a good, maybe a 3-fight winning streak. But, you've got Nina and Tatiana Suarez, and I think Tatiana's 8-0 right now. JJ is always right in the mix. So I think it's a pretty crowded division. I think from a fan's perspective, I'm sure fans want to see a rematch because it was competitive, but though Rose seemed to be controlling the first couple rounds.
The last one for me. One of the big topics of the week going into this event was BJ Penn's fight. I'd like to hear the thought process of going forward with this fight, given all the stories that came out about BJ and the allegations in Hawaii about domestic violence.
Yeah, I mean, I think, until there's some sort of conclusion reached on that situation, and there's information that comes to the forefront, I think they'll continue to have a plan to fight. Now, I'm not sure, having lost this fight, having not really won one since 2010, it's a pretty big skid. I'm not sure what he wants to do with his career. It's likely something that next week he'll probably sit down with Dana and try to figure out what the next step is. But at this point, I don't really know what that means for him. Okay.
Hi, Dave. There were 2 pretty big losses for Brazil there. Actually, 3 if you count Little Knock, but Aldo and Anderson. Do you, as a business coming to Brazil, do you feel like that might hurt the UFC here? Or do you feel like you have enough talent and a win like Jessica and people coming in are enough to kind of counterbalance that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that if we've seen the last of Aldo and Anderson, it's a huge loss. I mean, there's no denying the magnitude of impact that those guys have brought to the sport of MMA and the UFC specifically. The nice thing is that, when kind of one window closes, another opens. And if you look at the schedule ahead, I mean, think about, you had Andrade fighting tonight, Moraes fighting in Chicago, and then you've got Maheta is fighting John Jones, in addition to Holly Holm competing in International Fight Week in Las Vegas. Look at some of the fight nights. I mean, we've got RDA fighting in a main event slot. You got Moicano fighting in Greenville in mid-June. Add in some big fights with JDS and Nagano and Romero and Borashina. I mean, the future's pretty bright for Brazil, and everyone always talks about, okay, legends are leaving the sport. What does this mean? How are you going to actually deal with it? I think we're in a pretty damn good spot to be able to continue to build the sport of mixed martial arts here in Brazil, given the wealth of talent that exists at every level. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your support. Have a good evening.